The Guardian/Chapter 9. Historical fiction inspired by Malta's past. All characters and dialogue are invented for storytelling. Welcome to The Guardian, Il-Hares, Il-Hares. November 28, 1986 AD. At Sigiwi Barracks, Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Calleja told 20 new recruits Malta had no defense in depth. No vast armies. They were the line between danger and the Maltese people. He named the past. In 1565, Tony Bahada swam Grand Harbor with messages between forts as arrows fell. In 1798, Vincenzo Borg and Emanuele Vitali raised villagers against Napoleon's forces. In 1942, Joseph's father died when bombs struck his bakery after making bread with the last flour while sirens wailed. His mother raised 2 sons alone and taught that survival means sacrifice. A telegram arrived from Australia. Peter, his brother, was landing November 29th for a 2-week visit, bringing photos. Joseph folded the paper with exact care. Lines drawn in the sand. One stays, one leaves, both bleed. Brothers still unknown. That night in Zejtin, rabbit stew filled Sensa's kitchen. Sensa, 61, sat at the head of the table with paint-stained fingers. Peter spoke of his children, especially Celeste, 6, curious about invisible forces. Joseph listened, guarded. Midnight brings no peace. Silver against skin calls home. Choices seal all fates. Near midnight, Joseph returned to base. An unmarked vessel had entered Maltese waters and held position 3 kilometers offshore near Delimara. The supply boat crew was turned back at the latter within minutes. Signals reported encrypted bursts on unusual frequencies. Observers saw men moving equipment under tarpaulins. Joseph ordered updates every 30 minutes. Then he opened a wooden box. Inside lay a silver Maltese cross on a thin chain, worn smooth. Sensa had given it to him that morning and said it once belonged to Manuel Attard, a cousin killed in the Set Jugno riots of 1919. Joseph put it on. I reached him through the silver. Metal is the only language I can press upon. November 30th. Protests at Zejtin and Il Barani escalated and roads were blocked. A secure call ordered Joseph to stand down and focus on unrest, not the ship offshore. Duty wrestled conviction. Duty and defiance. Orders clash with certainty. Clocks tick, choices fall. At 1732, the convoy stood ready. The key turned. Engines stayed silent. Radios fell into static. Doors jammed. Seatbelts locked. Lights flickered and died. Joseph called it electronic countermeasures, a localized electromagnetic strike. Locked in the lead jeep, he fired through the windshield and climbed out through broken glass. He ordered his men forward, commandeering civilian vehicles if needed. I held his circuits. Spoke through voltage. Held 100 soldiers in silence. Offshore, rigid hull boats carrying operators toward land failed in the same moment. Engines died. Fires broke out. Boats broke apart. Men hit the water. Joseph looked at his men waiting by the buses, at a mission that now had no clear target. He chose restraint. Stand down, he ordered. Return to barracks. To Captain Mifsud he admitted he did not understand what happened, but it did not feel foreign, and he did not think it was hostile. Circuits speak their truth. Metal obeys ancient laws. Guardian watches on. An inquiry blamed a localized electromagnetic disturbance and unusually intense solar activity. Evidence was classified. Protests eased. Joseph received neither praise nor punishment. He became full colonel in 1990 AD, retired with honors in 1996 AD, and moved to Rabat. He kept the cross beneath civilian clothes and wrote memoirs for clarity and for the niece he barely knew. May 1, 2004 AD, Valletta celebrated Malta's entry into the European Union. Joseph, 63, stood beside Peter, 65. Celeste, 24, stood between them, newly graduated with highest honors in physics from the University of Sydney. They returned to Sensa's old house in Zejtin. Joseph made coffee in a cannock while Celeste studied a Spitfire painting and noted how the artist captured light on metal, almost like vibration. The lights flickered and went out across the street. Joseph noted it was the 3rd brownout that month. Celeste mentioned a predicted Class M solar flare and described her doctoral work on shielding electronics from electromagnetic pulses and on redirecting energy using quantum theory. Joseph offered the wooden box and said the cross had been in their family for generations. Celeste lifted the silver Maltese cross and slipped it over her head. I felt her through the silver, this child of Malta raised under different stars, completing a circle begun long ago. New flags rise skyward. Ancient stone beneath remains. Guardian watches on. Visit Malta. Go to ManicMalta.com/G0 for a family-run Airbnb. 9. Short.